I am CouchCoop, and it was 6 years ago, almost to the day, that the world first saw my top 10 single-player offline games list. It amassed 750,000 views and was very popular for the time. I was extremely lucky. Things never really seemed to return to those massive numbers. I think that may be a couple of reasons for that. Single-player content, I hope, isn't waning, but the numbers on my single-player videos certainly is. I think you should probably just take the hint, mate. To my point, The Witcher 3 won that list. It was the top one out of those 10 games for that year, and it held that title for at least half a decade. About 3 months ago, we very kindly got the news from CDPR that we were receiving a free PlayStation 5 upgrade for anybody that owned the base level version of this on their PlayStation 4s. I was lucky enough to have all the DLC, even those playing cards for Gwen and lovely physical copies of the games. This was great news for me. I think it was like one day after the release of that patch, I put a video out, I head into the game, had a look around, looked at the shadows, played the intro again to sort of measure how this game had improved, and it did look great on RT mode. Disclosure, every piece of footage you're going to see in this video is RT mode, not performance mode, and every bit of footage is in-game. The RT mode was absolutely diabolical. It was barely 30 frames per second. The camera swing wouldn't even work. Everything looked terrible when you got on the back of the horse, and I was like, this is a kind of a bit of a disaster, but I'm going to say nice things and go after the performance mode because, yeah, great, The Witcher at 60 frames per second, but I want The Witcher at 4K or a PEG 30 with ray tracing, and we nearly get that here. Because about 4 days ago, another second larger patch dropped in which vastly improved the ray tracing modes and added a proper photo mode to The Witcher. This is more workable than the Cyberpunk photo mode. I was stuck in here, you poor people, for a long time. Something else also occurred to me, and it was that I can't make that video again and show everybody just the same area of the map. I need to look at the DLC, because back on the base level PlayStation 4, Blood and Wine looked amazing. Like, I remember it popping 5 years ago. When you put your PlayStation 4 disc into the PlayStation 5, it always tries to install it onto the HD drive. It's a right headache. You have to prompt it not to, but it does show you the hours that you put in on that game. 209 hours I put onto the base level version of The Witcher. So if you are up to speed with me, I have two accounts. One is a sort of fledgling UK account that I put together when I got back here that my daughter sometimes uses, and the other is my UAE, United Arab Emirates account, which doesn't work here. I cannot top it up, so I cannot get PlayStation access. If you don't have PlayStation access, you cannot cloud, download, save your application data. So I had to go from square one, and there is a play wall right in front of Blood and Wine. Holy crap, and it is not a small one. Just as I'm prattling on about this, soak some of this up. Look at the mist coming over, the way the light hits the lens. You're even closer to the camera. They've sorted his walk out. Everything is in the right place with The Witcher 3 now. So you need to be level 13 to get that Poet's Quest open in order to get over to the section of that map, just to even get over there. It's nice to see some of the diverse villages and some of the old architecture, that strange church structure in the background there. And that's not snow, that's actually Griffin shit. Let's actually really revel in this photo mode. It's quite basic, it doesn't offer you speeds or anything, but it's a complete freedom. You're unhooked from Geralt. He doesn't have to be in the image if you don't want him to be, but he's not available to be lifted off. You just have to maneuver around him. It can be laid on at any given time. You click in both sticks, a la Assassin's Creed, and bam, you're in. It's smooth, everything looks incredible. I am so impressed with it. I've never got to see this game in so much detail before. Even in combat, look at the shimmer on the fire here. You can really see Igni's ferocity as it's coming over the grass and quick frying one of these little wood goblins. The big sell is the ray trace shadows. Shadow works. I think The Witcher's probably got the most candles in it of any video game ever. I even include Destiny 1's Halloween DLC in that statement. I didn't test enough how dynamic it is, how cool it looks on interiors, and how different the environments are affected by the ray trace light. Now, one thing you might want to do is have a meddle around with the gamma, because when I was going into caves and underwater and in interiors, it was too dark. I've bumped it up just slightly. I put it up loads when I was doing one particular mission but I just put it above medium. It might be something you want to meddle around with. Also, you can lift off the HUD with one button. Some games make you peel it all off bit by bit. I've kept this mini-map up on the top right because we've got something very interesting happening. You can see how the frames would look if you weren't running this on a current gen system on the mini-map turn. Look at the judder, look how it doesn't keep up with what's on screen. It's just something they didn't bother working in. There's no need, but wow, what a jump and difference. And look at this water. Some of these reflections are coming in now. This game slowly took my breath away bit by bit, even more so, I will say, than those 6 years ago. The water stuff is unbelievable. No whales photobombing this one, unfortunately, but that ray of light popping through that hole in the sail. I went to Skellig, and obviously that's more cliff, very much got a sort of highlands feel to it. It does look quite different from the main map or Novigrad or the areas that you start in. And traversing in the boat is so smooth. Going round that camera full 360, and you even get swimming damned harpies popping out of the water to try and kill you. It's an amazing experience sailing in this game. It's not a Valhalla level of complication, but it does offer some tranquility, and it is one of the most amazing looking sections of the game, going out to these vast expanses. There isn't an open sea, but there's big old lakes and big secluded areas of stagnant water. Can we get the fighting on now, please? Because that was not good in that patch either.
Fucking blows! Come on!
I don't actually mind The Witcher 3's combat. You've got one sort of hop avoid button, and you've got a double tap on X to roll. You've got quite a few options with all the magic going. Everything holds together. When I played that original patch, it was terrible. The combat was awful. The frames dropped everywhere. You couldn't lock on properly. It didn't feel comfortable. This is excellent and really does shine. I look forward to fighting big groups. It wasn't something that was a pleasure in previous editions of the game. You may have been fortunate enough to have seen the Assassin's Creed Origins review, still holds up, that I put out. I was talking about camera position and protagonist, or the character you're playing as. They have moved this forward to such a beautiful extent that it just gives you that boost in the space around you being something that you can interact with correctly. The further the character is away, quite literally the more distant you feel from them when they react to getting hit or looking for openings in the enemies. It's really cool to have that drilled right in. This goes down to being on horseback as well. And I'm just showing you some of the mist effects. We're starting to move out of the starter area now and into some slightly more complicated areas of the game, including the port, which blew my mind away that I could unlock that camera anywhere. And the amount of idle NPCs that are walking around is truly mind-blowing. A lot of other open world games do not keep up with what The Witcher put out back then, and Cyberpunk, Jesus Christ. The day and night system in The Witcher 3 was amazing back then. It had standout sunsets and sunrises. You would always be gobsmacked on horseback over some hill at how beautiful the skies looked, and it is so increased with this patch. These reflections look stronger. The elongated shadows give it so much more atmosphere. These reds, cannot stress enough how this game did not look like this. A, when it first came out, B, when that PlayStation 5 version was first released, and C, even after that first patch. Now, everything just seems to be on a completely new level. One thing you could never do was look at these brilliantly, intricately designed enemies properly. They were always too busy trying to kill you, and when you murdered them, they'd just be a blooded patch on the floor. Now everything gets to be scrutinized, and I love the design of everything. The wyverns look raw and mean. Nothing seems to be like too connected either. They look to be drawn from the ground up. Again, back to my previous point about that change in distance between the characters, the amount of confidence you feel on one-to-one monster fights with like playing loads of Souls-likes or Monster Hunter games, it's the same feeling, you just slip right into it. It's absolutely amazing. And these things are so damn ugly. And the bones on their arms that are sort of tailored on and their strange claws. I never knew that this much love went into designing these strange wood goblins. So back to the whole play wall thing. I'm doing all of these quests. I'm rushing the whole game to get to rank 13. Okay, and I'm not bothering with any side quests or dialogue. I'm hammering that square button so much. But everything's been done before. I finished the game, both expansions, so no problems there. Just that everything is higher ranked than me, and I really have to watch out for taking hits because I cannot replenish. I haven't got the swallow potion yet. You know what I'm talking about. I'm eating food and fucking raspberry juice to stay alive. Let's look at the character models, because this is the biggest part for me. I loved these characters in the original story, so being able to look and interact with them and move the camera around and work out what they're wearing, how they're standing, and all the detail that's gone into designing them was awesome. And seeing them in action, pausing anywhere with everybody, Ciri, Yen, the hot ginger one, there's just loads to look at. And that just goes for the characters that are involved intimately with you in your story. NPCs or anything else wandering around, you get to just scrutinize, and before you could just stand there in third person and swing the camera around, it was no good. The shots that you can create, I was constantly just stopping things and going, oh, hold on, in that archway, in front of that window, there's a fireplace. I mean, you know how funny some of the scenes are in The Witcher 3. There's a lot of fun to be had. But there's also a lot of really good assets to be looked at. This also goes for location as well. You'll be thinking at the back of your mind, oh, I remember that amazing garden. This is the reason the DLC was so huge. When I tumbled over the photo mode, I was like, right, my audience need to see that blood and wine material. With this ray traced edition, you're looking at different angles of light coming at the characters that you haven't explored before. Also persistent blood and anything that they're wearing or ranked up with, or magic that they're doing at that particular time, will have inclusion in the actual image itself. So if you do a 3D pan, you really get some idea of how grand a scene it actually becomes. The same sort of applies for poses or where they are in the map or what they're saying to you during a mission. It's really cool if they're by a fireplace, you get a really amazing silhouette shadow coming off the back of them. There's so much to be explored with this. Such a shame you can't emoji them, but yeah, Priscilla is amazing. She's I don't know, she's in the top 3. We'll have that chat at the end.
No loitering round here.
I'm barely showing you any of the game's flaws deliberately. I'm keeping away from the areas of the map that do stutter on frame rate. I want to show you how cool the underground of some of the larger cities look with these lights and different independent flame sources. The whole thing is like a different place. It really is unrecognizable as The Witcher 3 in places, and that gives me more incentive to sort of seek out and look at older areas in this whole new light, no pun. Here's me herring around, which is what I had to do for 3 days to get to this damn quest. And you'll see as I whip round corners, the amount of NPCs on screen is quite large, and this will affect the frame rates, but it's not something that disturbs you. You still get on with the game. I had a complete pleasure with it in RT mode. Didn't think, oh, I need to switch it out. Not once. I was too immersed. It wasn't dropping enough for me to get annoyed. I couldn't say that pre-patch.
Hey, look at that tramp. Yeah, quite a smart jacket for a tramp. Maybe a little bit.
So what happened with level 13 and, you know, the mission and Blood and Wine, the DLC? Well, you think I'd let you guys down? I busted my ass and did it at level 13. There's a fight that you have to be level 35 for to even get to this bit. It was the hardest thing I think I've ever done in a Witcher game. Do not attempt it. Rank up first.
Hell if you love the gods!
I became hell-bent on it. It was like, I've come too far. I've got to see that green and all those pinks in that DLC. I'm not turning back now. It was so difficult. I had to trolley these guys all around this map like 4 or 5 times. That boss that just can one-shot you. I had no health or replenish, nothing. And then after the whole ordeal, I'm thinking, let's have a look at the difficulty. You can just put it on story mode. Didn't have to do any of that. Jesus Christ, Coop.
You will see for yourself.
To me, place always seemed straight out of a fairy tale.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed some of making it, and put something in the comments if you need any help with the photo mode or have got questions on the patches. It's really incredible now, and I'm very envious of, as I always say, people who've not played this game. We got Bioshock Infinite still holds up, and Diablo 4 Couch Co-op review. I will see you down there.
I have a phobia of wolves. What a beautiful creature. Wish him luck, boys.
Good luck out there.